just wanna forewarn you all, I guess. Basically, the house 2 doors down from me, and then the house across the street and a few doors down are both under like pretty heavy construction right now, like all kinds of like scaffolding and builders day in day out kind of thing. So I'm gonna try my best to make sure that there's no background sound in the videos, but while the work is being done, like I may miss some uploads or they may be late because at the minute I'm kind of struggling to find a quiet moment to record because they're here from like the crack of dawn till pretty late-ish, to the point where like by the time they leave everybody else is home, so the house isn't quiet, or I'm like eating my tea, getting a shower, getting ready for bed kind of thing. So yeah, I'm gonna try my best to keep on track, but if I do miss an upload or one is late, that is gonna be why. But let's just get into today's video. I did save one. I saved one that I saw a little while ago, and then the rest were just gonna be, looking to see what is hot on the subreddit right now. Okay, I think the one that I saved has been deleted because it doesn't seem to be there. Okay, let's just go to the subreddit then. There we go, there we go. There we go, there we go, there we go. This one seems quite different and interesting, so let's do this one. It's by Sleestickle and it's titled Passed Out on Date. So am I the a-hole? Am I the a-hole for passing out on my date and trying to brush it off? I met this guy on Tinder and we chatted on the phone for about 2 weeks, then made plans to meet in person for a drink. Backstory: I have a previous brain tumor that was removed and occasionally I get dizzy and lose my balance. It mainly happens at home when I'm tired or I stand up too fast or go a little period without eating. So I showed up at the bar, everything was fine. We had a nice conversation and I had one drink. At the end of the date I felt a little dizzy, but I thought that I could make it to my car. As we were leaving, I felt faint and fell over. He caught me and I sat in my car until I began to feel better. The bar attempted to call an ambulance, but I told them I didn't need it. Fast forward to 2 days later, the guy is now telling me that I should have known that this would happen because I pulled him and all the staff into the situation and embarrassed him. He said I went on this day knowing I had a brain tumor and I created the bad situation. He said I knew my situation and still placed everyone else in it. Edit: he was aware of my prior surgery and I had mentioned that I occasionally faint, which is why I don't live alone. I just didn't focus on it or make a huge issue out of it, and I've been cleared by a neurologist to live a normal life and approved to drink alcohol, occasionally in moderation. Am I not allowed to live my life and go out? This has never happened in a public place before, so it's not like I need to warn anyone I go out with that they will be required to catch me if I faint and babysit me until I feel okay to drive. I'm now feeling cautious about dating again and worried that men can't understand that emergencies can sometimes happen, and it doesn't mean that you're not capable of going on a date. Edited to add, the next day I saw my neurologist cardiologist who ran many tests to see if there were any new problems. Turns out I was dehydrated and low on potassium and iron. He said even without my history, a person could have responded the same way. Not the a-hole at all. This guy sounds very not self-obsessed, that's definitely the wrong term, but far too focused on his own image, and very selfish. He's embarrassed that you fainted and kind of made a scene and stuff like that, but I'm sorry, a decent person would not be embarrassed that you had a medical emergency. They would be concerned, that is not an appropriate reaction. Just because you have symptoms that show up and have previously had issues doesn't mean that you can't continue to go out and live your life to the fullest, especially because you've been given the okay that it's fine to do that type of stuff. People can't expect you to just sit at home and bubble wrap. You survived something awful, you got rid of that tumor. You should be allowed to go out and have fun. That's a crazy take that you should just not do anything. He just is not a great guy, and especially with him already knowing about all of this and the potential outcomes and stuff like that, he should have been prepared for potentially this type of thing to happen. And if this embarrasses him, he shouldn't be dating or trying to date people that express that they've had surgeries or illnesses that, still cause symptoms. So I'm very sorry about my dog snoring. You can just about see her on the bed a little bit there. It's a brown lump. Yeah. Okay, I'm trying to find another interesting one that was very interesting, because I feel like a lot of the time they're very similar situations, where it's just something along the lines of a crappy family member doing similar crappy things, just being really narcissistic or something. But that was pretty different. I want to see if there's anything else like that. Okay. 1 second, let me try and wake up my dog a little bit, because she's getting a bit loud. Okay, this one seems a little bit interesting. This one is by Mabel_Lynn. It's titled, Am I the a-hole for sending my ex's fiance the screenshots after she asked what was going on? I found out my ex was engaged because his fiance texted me after seeing our messages on their shared iPad. Until that moment, I hadn't had the foggiest idea that she even existed. My ex and I were together 5 years. 4 years ago, I was working as an assistant manager at a home improvement store when I hurt my back on a shift. We were short-staffed. A pallet needed moving and I twisted wrong trying to help shift part of it by hand. I ended up with a bad lumbar disc herniation, nerve pain down my leg, surgery, pain meds, lost my job, gained weight, got depressed. He stayed for a few months, then left with some line about not being able to keep setting himself on fire to keep me warm. Fair enough, I guess. Good His fiancée asked me if he was trying to get back together with me behind her back. I sent her the screenshots, no hesitation. Now our Don Juan is sending me angry messages claiming that I'm a bitter POS. Maybe, but if I was about to marry someone who was quietly lining up a plan B, I'd certainly like to know. So am I the a-hole? Absolutely not. He is insane for that. One, like, how can you claim to love someone and then just leave them when times get a little bit hard? Like, he only stayed for a few months. Like, that's a terrible thing to do. And then, on top of that, he was trying to actively get back with you. Or, like, see if this still sparks, whatever. Like, seeing if he should move forward with his current marriage or not. Current, engagement. Like, that is so sneaky, and it's so disrespectful to both you and his fiancée. He is awful, and I hope that you both absolutely, like, tear him a new one. What an awful person. Okay. Let's find another one. Let us find another one. Okay. Okay, let's do, I think, these two. Okay, let's do this one first. This one's a little bit longer than the previous two. It's by Fabulous _Actuary 1991, and it is titled, Am I the a-hole for being disrespectful and not accommodating my ex and his wife even though they're having a baby? Background: my 34 female ex, Brad, 37 male, have a daughter. 10 female, Felicity. He lives 3 hours away. He moved and is married to Haley, 36F. Felicity stays with him for 2 months in the summer and for certain holidays. It's a legal custody order. We do not have a child support order, but he does pay child support that we agreed on, which hasn't changed in 8 years, even though I know he's gotten a new job. But whatever, apparently that's not my business. I don't really talk to Brad, but obviously whenever he calls Felicity, or vice versa, it's my phone, but we don't talk about anything other than her. Per the order that we wrote and agreed on together, by the way, it wasn't forced on us by a judge. Felicity stays with him for 8 weeks starting the Saturday after school ends. She does come back. I don't want to go that long without seeing her for 2 weekends during this time. It's been this way since she started school. I have a boyfriend, Mark, 35 male, who I've been seeing for about a year. Felicity hasn't met him, but possibly will in the future. It's not that it's a casual relationship or anything. I just don't want to bring a ton of guys around here, so I'm very protective over who I introduce to her. The issue: a few weeks ago, I resent Brad the dates for this summer, and he was okay with it. But after their last call, he asked if he could talk to me, which is never fun. He said that Haley is pregnant and due at the end of May, so he wasn't going to be able to have our daughter until maybe July. He also said that he'd have to stop sending child support since he's going to be a stay-at-home dad. I'm dealing with that side of things with a lawyer because I don't know who told him that's how it works, but obviously he's an idiot. The issue is that Mark and I are going on a cruise that starts the Wednesday after Felicity was supposed to go to her dad's. It's a 20-day cruise and my parents will be taking their annual trip to Europe during that time, so I have nobody who I would trust to watch her for that long other than her father. The cruise is paid for she needs space so that they can figure out the new baby. I get it, but that's not really my problem. I told him again I have no issue taking her for the days that I'm in town, but I'm not moving my trip just because they're having a baby. I haven't said anything about the child support stuff, but my lawyer said it's being handled. People have older kids and babies all the time and make it work. I don't see why they can't figure it out. He said that since it's her first baby, she needs a few weeks to get used to being a mom, which I get. But Felicity isn't there to see her. She's there to be with her dad. Felicity is excited to see her dad and be a big sister, so she doesn't know any of this is happening, obviously. He has been calling and texting me almost daily about this. Not in a harassing way, but acting like I'm being unreasonable. My parents say they can bring Felicity with them, which would be fine, but like I said, she's really excited to see her dad. She hasn't since New Year's, and honestly, I can't really afford for her to go, since plane tickets have been insane lately. He said in our last call that I'm disrespecting them on her motherhood journey, but to me it's not disrespect, I am just unable to accommodate them. Am I being unreasonable to think he needs to stop making me try to figure this out for him? I've laid it out to him that he can either figure it out or out his custody time or pay for Felicity's flights to Europe with my parents. I won't ask them to pay for them, and I won't either, because if he doesn't have any skin in it, he won't take it seriously. He knew I always take a trip in June. He acknowledged it in December when he had to have known she was pregnant. He only started throwing this fit when he found out I was going on my trip with my boyfriend. If I were to pay for the flights, I can guarantee you that before she left, he would throw a fit and demand his custody time. He has been doing this stuff to me for 18 years, so I know his game. And he was never going to quit his job. He admitted it, that he was just going to change his shifts around. I know it's not about me, but sometimes it's so overwhelming. Not the AO at all. Like they said in the edit, well, one, why agreed to the dates when she double checked if you're not able, and two, he knows the time that he has it every year. So when they found out that Haley was pregnant and she got through the first trimester, this should have been a conversation that they had, rather than kind of springing it on her later on when she's already made plans and stuff like that. And like DOP said, he needs to figure it out. Like, I get she wants to decompress and have that time alone with her baby. I get that, I do. I really, really do. But at the end of the day, Felicity is his responsibility as well. So he needs to, step up and look after his daughter in the time that is allocated. And they're gonna need to make it work because, she's her big sister and she's gonna be visiting every year. So they need to figure it out. I'm not quite sure how to put into words what I'm trying to say, but I don't think the OP is an a-hole. I get that it's a bit of a tough situation because I do feel for Haley, wanting to have that time just to kind of figure things out and settle. I understand that, but at the same time, this man is a grown man. He needs to handle his own daughter, he needs to look after her. Yeah, definitely make him pay for the plane tickets if that's how it's gonna go, because it's his kind of mess up that is making this happen. cancer. He smoked multi-packs of cigarettes a day and was shocked he ended up how he did. She is not doing well herself, but just like most, they have an extremely negative stigma regarding nursing homes. I know they are not the best of places, but putting your family in debt is no better. His siblings are using credit, taking out loans and stuff to provide care, keep her in her apartment/area. She is mild to moderate stage of dementia. She knows her apartment and area well, but she only manages because my brother and sister-in-law are going heavily into debt providing the care. They keep pushing for my husband to do more. He helps how he can. He covers a portion of the rent and pays for groceries from time to time. Compared to what they do, that is not much, but we are strapped ourselves. My husband wants to do Uber on the side after work and on the weekends, and I told him that is nuts. His family needs to understand that they have alternatives. They may not like it, but sooner or later she will end up in a home. What they are doing is far from sustainable. I told my husband if he gives up more money we cannot afford without going into debt ourselves, or gives up the limited time he has to be with his family to work Uber, I will have no choice but to file for a divorce, and will have to plan accordingly. We have looked into me going back to work, but with the level of care our child needs, it's not exactly a viable option. Oh God, that's a really, really tough situation. I feel awful for everybody. I don't think that anybody is the a-hole here. I think it's just a bunch of people trying to navigate a really tough and a really demanding and emotional situation that unfortunately they've all fallen into. I do agree that what they're doing isn't sustainable if dementia is actively getting worse and nobody in the family can afford to upkeep what they're doing right now. Then I do think they need to sit down and have a talk about maybe they need to throw in the towel and put her in a home, unfortunately, and that it might actually be the best thing for her, to have around the clock care provided. I can understand him wanting to help and wanting to get another job to help and stuff, but he's just going to be burning the candle at both ends. He's going to exhaust himself and drain himself completely, and it's not going to be good for him mentally or even health-wise, stress-wise, and not getting enough sleep and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just a really unfortunate situation. I get that he wants to help his family, but he also has to look after the family that he has, his wife and his children. It's just, it's really tough. I do think the best thing in this situation is a care home, which I know some people may not like, but they've said it themselves. None of them can afford to keep looking after her, and she's possibly getting worse, as people usually do with these kinds of illnesses or diseases. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, that is the last story. Oh, wait, before I move on to that, there's a couple comments that I want to read. The first one says, call a social worker for your mother-in-law and your son. Figure out what programs might be available for respite care or care homes. It's fine for people to not want to go into a home, but it's not terribly realistic to expect your kids to provide round-the-clock care if you need it, particularly with dementia patients. And then there's a comment down here. Where's it gone? Here we go. There's a scary lot. If I can speak, there's a scary large amount of elderly that end up in my hospital due to unintentional neglect because their family insisted on being their caretakers instead of getting them the proper care. Most people don't understand how much work it really takes. It's not just feeding and bathing. You have to remind them to turn at least every couple hours so they don't get an ulcer. Constantly stop them from doing things out of confusion. Make sure they're immediately cleaned up if they are incontinent to prevent skin breakdown, and always be at their side when ambulating because they can seem perfectly fine, then the next second grandma's falling and broke her hip and now she can't walk and ends up bedridden but still doesn't have proper care, so she develops wounds all over her body and eventually passes away from infection or organ failure. I have discussions daily with my patient's family on the importance of finding proper care and not relying on family to do so.